Aaron Rodgers rips the New Orleans Saints and says he is not playing in New Orleans, ladies and gentlemen, today. So I'm sitting here on a Saturday watching Tulane take on the UTSA Roadrunners in the AAC conference tourney, and this pops up on my news feed. And I said, hold on a second. I got to watch this. So this is Aaron Rodgers. Well, this isn't Aaron Rodgers. This is a lady in a bandana, but Aaron Rodgers will be soon on screen, and he will be accompanied by Mike Stud. Now, no, Mike Stud is not a male escort working in Panama City. Mike Stud is a musician. So this is at a Mike Stud concert.
Our free agent now. Would you ever consider playing for the Saints and making us great again? Because you know.
No.
That's the answer.
That's the answer.
All right, next question.
It's no. I've played there a couple times, but no. The answer is no. I'm too old. I don't want to live in Louisiana.
I mean, this is the same thing, ladies and gentlemen, as somebody asking me if I've ever thought about dating Sydney Sweeney, and me saying, no, I would never date Sydney Sweeney. Absolutely not. No way. Here's the fact of the matter. The Saints are out and have been out on Aaron Rodgers. Here's another fact of the matter. Every team in the NFL, except the Pittsburgh Steelers, is out and has been out on Aaron Rodgers. This is and has been one of the most delusional campaigns, this idea that Aaron Rodgers has this market value in 2025. He does not. He was horrible with the Jets last year. Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, getting everyone fired, getting the entire franchise upside down. All for what? To have worse production than Zach Wilson when he was with the Jets. But the deal with Aaron Rodgers, to be frank, is that people know who he is. So I don't want to say casuals, because it is Saturday. I'm in a good mood. But people see Aaron Rodgers, they see the name, and they're like, Aaron Rodgers is sweet. He's a Hall of Famer. He can do this, this, and this. Well, look, Aaron Rodgers has proved that he is selfish, that he is about himself way more than the team, which at whatever, 41 years old or whatever he is, it is, he had his career. It's fine. But he showed you with the Jets when he was in Egypt, taking a vacation instead of going to training camp and instead of spending time with the receivers. He showed you at the end in Green Bay. He showed you through different reality shows and whatever else exactly who he is. He could not be worse of a mentor for young quarterbacks. He could not be worse for a young team to have him as the quarterback guiding them in the season. It makes zero sense and has made, because the Saints already are out. The Saints have already said they're not going after Rodgers. They have no interest in Rodgers. It would have been a huge mistake for the Saints to attempt to bring Aaron Rodgers in, because not all that stuff I just said, but he's also going to command a lot of money for what his services are. And what are his services? Below average play from an old AF guy who could care less about the team or the sport. That's the truth. And you're going to pay him what? $15 million, $10 million? Why? For why? What are you actually getting? Now, let's let it continue.
Sorry.
Well, I mean, hey, New Orleans ain't for everybody, okay? He's right about that. I mean, the heat, the hooch, the food, the dietary situation. It's very difficult. It's very difficult whenever every time you go to dinner, they're like, oh, you want a drink? Oh, okay, well, cool. We're 3 for 1. Oh, sweet. Okay, well, it's Tuesday, so awesome. Now, we are going to parallel that little clip with this video from Matthias after further review, the Skrmetta. Saints have no interest in Aaron Rodgers. Why that's a huge mistake for New Orleans quarterback futures. This was from 3 days ago, okay? So this is before the Aaron Rodgers quote came out. But I want to hear a reason why. I want to hear a reason why the Saints should go after Aaron Rodgers. I haven't. This is similar to me as when we were defending or going against the Mike McCarthy thing, where it made no sense. It just didn't fit at all. But people know who Mike McCarthy is. He's a name, right? Aaron Rodgers is a name. So let's see what Matthias has to say here.
Over the weekend, Jeff Duncan had a report over at NOLA.com, the Times-Picayune. He tweeted about it as well. And it's about Aaron Rodgers. He noted, no surprise here, But Aaron Rodgers never really was a consideration for the Saints in wake of the Derek Carr retirement. At their current stages, they don't make sense for him, and he doesn't make sense for them.
Correct.
Again, a report from Jeff Duncan. I can't say that that's terribly surprising, but I'm probably going to zig on this when most are going to zag, and I promise you I'm not doing this just for the sake of being a contrarian. I would actually really like the idea of Aaron Rodgers to the New Orleans Saints.
Okay.
For a couple of reasons.
No, go ahead.
And I'll tell you primarily that reason is because of something Aaron Rodgers was pretty vocal about whenever Green Bay drafted Jordan Love.
Yeah.
He recalled when Green Bay drafted him and how Brett Favre maybe wasn't the best veteran leader to Aaron Rodgers. And as a result, he didn't want to treat Jordan Love that way. He wanted to welcome him to the NFL, mentor him, and help him. And I look at the Saints' current quarterback situation, and you got 3 guys on the roster that have a combined 0 NFL wins. Aaron Rodgers has won more MVPs than they collectively have wins. He's won a Super Bowl. He's a future Hall of Famer.
Yes.
I understand fully all of the everything that goes along with Aaron Rodgers. Going on McAfee's show, the silent retreats, all the stuff, the cleansing, all of it,
The horrible play on field.
Different kind of cat, went to Berkeley. I get it. Not here to judge. Cam Jordan went to Berkeley. He's been fine. So I understand all of the...
what the hell?
I understand all of the detractors. But I would also look and say, can we objectively look at what we think, what we feel, and how he might actually be perceived in a locker room? Not by a front office or anything like that. But I look at Aaron Rodgers and I say, here's a guy that, yes, is 41 years old. And
Interesting. He is 5 years older than Kellen Moore. Aaron Rodgers and Kellen Moore are the same difference as Joe Montana and Steve Young.
I do not think is going to win a Super Bowl. So just to be very clear, I'm not suggesting that for New Orleans, bringing in Aaron Rodgers would make you a contender. I'm not saying that.
Brother, a contender? Bringing them in, Aaron Rodgers isn't even a above 500 quarterback anymore. Like, this is a below average. There is no difference, in my opinion, between Joe Flacco and Aaron Rodgers right now for what this conversation is. And I'll tell you this right now, I just turned my neck really quick. Lightning bolt shot up the right side. I'm in a serious amount of pain, but I'm pushing through it. Who knows what's even going on in my right trapezius right now? Think about it that way, okay? You know you are getting below average play, all right? You want a vet in the room, okay? And someone who's won. Right? Joe Flacco has more Super Bowl wins than the Saints quarterback room has wins, or whatever the cute stat we can throw out there is. Joe Flacco is a better teammate, a better actual mentor, and cheaper, and has played better more recently than Aaron Rodgers. So why would you pay, let's just call it 3x, which is probably more than that, but let's just say 3x for Aaron Rodgers? Like, that's where this is all getting zigzagged. The thing you want is available all over the place, really. But because his name is Aaron Rodgers, and he was an MVP in Green Bay, and all that was cool, because of that, people are gravitating to this idea of Rodgers. When you're forgetting about he is as toxic gets, he will not be around with the team. He's going to completely stunt the growth and development of these players because he's going to play. That's another problem, is that if you go get Flacco, you can let one of the young guys play. If you go get Rodgers, he's your starting quarterback. So all of a sudden, Tyler Shough's getting the 2s, or Spencer Rattler's getting the 2s. One of them's getting the 3s. Deckers is working down at Maspero's Cafe on Decatur. Jake Hayner, who the hell knows where he is? He's busking out in the middle of Jackson Square doing front flips in front of the cathedral. Like, it changes everything. It flips it all. And all of a sudden, is Rodgers now the biggest voice in the room? Think about that. With his personality and how he operates, is he now commandeering that attention that Kellen Moore should be having.
Because I don't think that's the case. And to be very clear, I think if Aaron Rodgers wants to go still play to win, which I presume is the only way he would play, he would go to some place like Pittsburgh, where you had a...
Pittsburgh sucks. I hate this argument. Pisses me off. I'm sorry to curse on a Saturday. I keep hearing this where it's like Aaron Rodgers wouldn't go to the Saints. The Saints, he wants to go to a winner like Pittsburgh. Have you seen Pittsburgh's roster? All right, Pittsburgh hasn't won a playoff game in almost 10 years. That team sucks. Okay, I hate to break it to you. I hate to break it to you. But if I'm a quarterback and I'm looking at the Saints or Pittsburgh, and I'm looking at those two offensive rosters, the coaching, the entire situation, living in Pittsburgh, no shade to Pittsburgh. If I'm looking at all that, I'm like, man, I don't want to go play Pittsburgh. I mean, why all of a sudden is Pittsburgh like this glamorous landing spot?
A ready-made playoff roster, which New Orleans does not have. It's not my opinion. That's the shared opinion of everybody. You could look at Vegas, who has the Saints pegged over under 4.5 wins. You bring in Aaron Rodgers. Let's say he's good for 3 wins.
What? Man, Aaron Rodgers being plus 3 wins is absolutely ludicrous. Absolutely nuts. Crazy town. ZOMG. ZOMG. That is ZOMG. Plus 3 wins, Aaron Rodgers. How many wins has he had in the last 2 years? Plus 3.
Okay, so now you're at 7.5. So he's good for 4 wins. You're at 8.5. You're still not a playoff team. So Aaron Rodgers would not make you a playoff team. He played 17 games last year for the Jets. They won 5 games.
By the way, with the Jordan Love thing, when Jordan Love was in Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers was the MVP. He was coming off of back-to-back, or I think he had back-to-back, I think it's 2020 and 2021 he's the MVP. 2022, not great last year in Green Bay. 2023, Jets, we know what happened. 2024, Jets, we know what happened. Okay? The difference in like what Jordan Love is watching, the NFL MVP, a guy who's actively trying to win Super Bowls, a guy who is all in on his career, his team, his teammates, the franchise, whatever, compared to what the Jets got, and then compared to what the Saints would get, like it is not the same mentorship. Spencer Rattler, Tyler Shough, Hunter Deckers, Jake Haener, whatever, would not be learning the same thing that Jordan Love was learning. Jordan Love is seeing a guy show up to the facility, training his ass off, working his ass off, there every day, trying to win Super Bowls, winning the MVP. The Jets got a guy who was on vacation the entire time, who couldn't spend time with the team, who could not care less. The Saints are going to get an even more diluted version of that. Okay? Why? Because he's not on a team, and he's at a Mike Stud concert taking Q&As.
That's not why you would bring in someone like this to make you a contender. It is strictly to provide a bridge, so you don't put so much on a young quarterback room so early, and also to give them the opportunity to learn from an MVP, a Hall of Famer. It's kind of the same reason why you brought in Jameis Winston to sit behind Drew Brees for a year. Come, sit, watch, learn, be better for it.
Completely
and maybe that could be the solution. Now, clearly, the Saints aren't interested. By the way, the financial component works as well. Aaron Rodgers has said he would be willing to play this year for $10 million, considering what you owe Derek Carr, not only this year, but the $31 million that'll be on the cap for next year in dead money. Having a starting quarterback of Aaron Rodgers' ilk for $10 million makes a lot of sense. Again,
why if you just want a bridge quarterback for them to learn from, why don't you go get someone who is not the most toxic person possible? Go get Ryan Tannehill. Go get whoever, Andy Dalton. Go get Joe Flacco. Go whoever. Let them be the bridge. Let them be the mentor. Okay? Let them do it. And if they really want to watch Aaron Rodgers MVP highlights, go get him a YouTube TV package. Damn. Let him go on the NFL Plus and let him rewatch some of those games. I mean, it's crazy to think like, oh yeah, if Aaron Rodgers is in the building for 7 months, yeah, they'll just suction all of his experience and all of his knowledge and all of his MVP stuff. They'll just learn it all, and then they'll just transfer right there. That's not how this works.
I want to be so clear. I'm not arguing go get Aaron Rodgers because it's going to help you win. I'm saying I wouldn't be opposed to Aaron Rodgers because it stabilizes you and provides a bridge while you rebuild the roster, and you don't have you don't potentially ruin your young quarterbacks by dumping so much on them so early.
Aaron Rodgers has got to be the least stable possible option. That's why this is blowing my mind, is that everything he's saying, it's like, okay, sure. But then the person that he's choosing to do it with is the worst possible person to do that. Like, if that was the plan, you should have got Russell Wilson. Like, if that's what you're trying to do, you should, there's a million different ways to do this besides the most toxic, unstable, selfish, but option in the entire NFL.
Let them do what Rodgers had the ability to do, which was sit behind Brett Favre. What Jordan Love had the ability to do, which is sit behind Aaron Rodgers. What Patrick Mahomes had the ability to do was to sit for a year behind Alex Smith and then take over. And by the way, in his second year as a starter, they won a Super Bowl.
Again, this is a totally different conversation. The conversation now is that it's just simply they should sit. Because now that you've thrown Alex Smith in there, it's nothing to do with learning from an MVP or learning from a Super Bowl winner or learning from a Hall of Famer. Now it's just a blanket, let him sit. That's all this conversation is now boiled down to. Which I'll say it again, ladies and gentlemen, if that's the goal, letting these guys sit, you can do that with a bevy of different quarterbacks that aren't Aaron Rodgers. Okay? So the longer we talk through this, the more apparent it is that we don't need Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers provides nothing that someone else can't provide. Because the Brett Favre and the Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love thing, the problem with that is that Brett Favre was playing at an absolute elite level. Aaron Rodgers was literally the MVP. Back-to-back. Okay? Like, that is a whole different ballgame. To be able to sit behind, like, Drew Brees, when Drew Brees is winning it, winning 13 games at 12 games, whatever, and pushing the Saints and all that, like, watching that, yeah, that is valuable. Watching a 5-win Aaron Rodgers do ayahuasca, down at the Riverwalk, that's not really doing much for me. Okay, so if that is what this whole conversation is of, well, I think these guys should just sit. Okay, well then, like I said, go get Ryan Tannehill or go get Joe Flacco or go get whoever and let them play if that's what you really want to do. But I don't think that guarantees much of anything. I think if these guys in the quarterback room show that they're ready to play and they're ready to do whatever they got to do, I think you let them out there. You let them play. And, like we saw with Jaden Daniels and CJ Stroud, like, that's okay too sometimes. That's all right too. To just, throw them into the fire.
I don't know what the future is going to hold with Tyler Shough. What I do believe, though, is if you have the luxury of not putting so much on a rookie quarterback from jump, that's a good thing. It's why I've advocated for the Saints bringing in a veteran quarterback. And maybe it's Teddy Bridgewater, or maybe it's Carson Wentz, or maybe you wait and see, or maybe you trade for Jameis Winston, because they've got Jameis, Russ, and they drafted Jackson Dart. All three of those guys aren't going to be on the roster week one. Maybe it's Cleveland, where they got Flacco and Deshaun Watson and Kenny Pickett, and they drafted Dylan Gabriel.
This is a completely different conversation in the last 30 seconds. Now it's like, well, just go get Carson Wentz. Go get a vet, just any vet. Well, if that's the case, then all the other Rodgers stuff goes out the window. And also, this, you have the luxury of letting them sit, like, behind Alex Smith, behind Brett Favre, behind Aaron Rodgers. They're already there. That's an organic situation where you're drafting the player and the other quarterback is already there. You're not then going and getting the old AF quarterback to bring him in for a year.
And should all five of those guys aren't making the team, maybe the better option will be somewhere down the line, a veteran quarterback like one of the ones I just mentioned becomes a free agent and you can add them. And maybe that's a better solution for you. Maybe it is. Maybe it's Teddy Bridgewater. But I wouldn't slam the door on Aaron Rodgers just because he does darkness retreats and goes on McAfee and you don't like him.
Well, hold on a second. That's not why I'm slamming the door on him. I'm slamming the door on him because he sucks. I'm slamming the door on him because he's proven the last couple of years he's not that great. He's proven that he doesn't care about the teams. He doesn't care about the NFL. He's selfish and doing his own thing. That's why I'm slamming the door on him. I could care less about the darkness retreats. I could care less about ayahuasca. Everybody's got their vices, okay? It's okay. If he want, it is what it is. Don't care. If he's winning 11 games, 12 games, if he's playing at a super high level, get wet. Whatever. The fact of the matter is that he's not good anymore. And I don't think these guys would learn much at all. And I think he would be a distraction. I think he would upend the good stuff that Kellen Moore is building already. That's my problem with it.
I think there's a lot
for $10 million.
A lot of things to like about the possibility of adding Aaron Rodgers. But according to Jeff Duncan's report, it doesn't seem like that's a possibility. It never was a possibility. Although I think it's something they probably should have considered. And if you can make it work, should do. But if Aaron Rodgers is looking to win, if he's going to keep playing because he wants to win, New Orleans definitely is the best seat for him. Because New Orleans isn't winning much of anything in 2025. It's just about hitting that reset button organizationally to get toward 26 and beyond.
Yeah, go play for the Steelers. They win all the time. All right, so there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I have absolutely no idea what the positives would be of signing Aaron Rodgers. I'm glad that the Saints said no thanks, and then Rodgers said no thanks. So whatever, we got to where we needed to go. Great job by Mickey. Great job by the front office again navigating this. No Mike McCarthy. No Aaron Rodgers. Masterclass from the boys in the front office. We're salary cap. We're going in the right direction of the cap. Going in the right direction of our youth. Future is great. Optimistic. I'm on a different level. Enjoy your Saturdays, ladies and gentlemen, and I will see you in the next video.